Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable high performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. Hi there. Today's episode has been inspired by a conversation with somebody over recent weeks who told me that they were very good at managing their time. But having said that, they were still looking for help with their work and their life. Very smart person. And it inspired, I guess, a conversation, which I'm going to ripple a little bit into this particular episode, which is maybe the opposite of what conventional advice might be. And I'm calling it stop managing time and start managing state. Because the next era, I think, of performance and leadership isn't going to be about your calendar. It's going to be more about your state of mind and your consciousness. Now, the danger when you say a word like consciousness is you get into, well, hang on, where are we going with this? What's the definition of consciousness? And I think just to keep it simple, my working definition of consciousness, I mean, the fact that you're aware, you're human, you have consciousness. But I'm going to say that to me, consciousness is the incredible human system that integrates your attention and awareness with your emotion, and then also your intention ability that can turn your raw experience into intelligent action, creative action. You can make things happen. So that might sound a little bit complicated, but look, we'll go with it for the moment. If I bring it back down to something very practical, that most people would think, success really is about how you use your time. And it is to a degree in terms of how you plan your day, what you focus on, what you prioritize, or if you prioritize at all, which a lot of people don't increasingly. And you're trying to optimize, I guess, the use of your time. But here's a very profound truth that I've learned after too many years of working with top CEOs, leaders, performers, is that you don't really have a time problem, which is going to sound weird if you're overloaded with time. You have a state management problem, because when your state is off, which means that your mood is lower, your energy is lower, which means that you're more likely to be anxious, distracted, or reactive, even the best time system collapses and becomes ineffective. But when you can manage to keep your state clear, centered, calm, you get more done in an hour than most do probably in a day, because your thinking is at a higher level. And so also your quality of work improves, things happen quicker, clearer, and then the experience of your work and your life completely changes. So what I would see is the next era of leadership and high performance is going to be all about your state of mind. And the higher state of mind, the higher your level of consciousness. Now, it's funny, consciousness as a word is probably something that would normally maybe historically be used in almost in a spiritual realm. Fair enough. But actually, science is really, really exploring, what is the nature of consciousness? But the reality is, let's keeping it simple, is that for this purpose, I'm going to talk more about state of mind, state of being. And I think one of the key principles around your state of mind is just consider this, that your inner world really drives your outer results. So like time management and productivity tools and hacks are useful, but they're secondary. Because if the state behind them is chaotic or stressed or anxious, really no amount of structure is going to allow you to get to your best. And in my experience, leaders who perform at their best, they aren't managing their time better. They're actually managing themselves better. They're managing their state better, which is how they think, how they feel, and how they show up moment to moment. So when your state is right at a good level, then your decisions are cleaner, your focus sharpens, and your energy, which is, I think, going to be the most important thing in the coming years, it flows more naturally. So if you think about that, it's not more hours you need. It's actually better quality of attention within the hours you already have, because you'll get more out of them. Now, if you think about yourself when you're in a good mood or good energy versus you in poor mood or poor energy, you kind of get a sense of, yeah, okay, well, the low energy version of me has a very different output or, experience versus the high energy version of me. And I've worked across, let's say, I don't know, thousands of hours working with leaders and performers. And I've seen the same pattern, that they think that the problem is time. And fair enough, we can have, too many meetings and not enough hours. Fair enough. But when you start to get clear and your state improves, it becomes much clearer to you to just kind of know which meetings not to go to, what not to do as much as what to do. Otherwise, you kind of get lost through fatigue, mental fatigue in particular, getting lost doing things just to keep yourself busy, not having that clarity that will help you actually understand what not to do, what to delegate, what to eliminate, and what to automate perhaps. But once we start shifting the conversation around state, your mental clarity, your emotional steadiness, your presence, everything starts to shift. I've had many conversations with leaders over the years, and it's something I've learned myself the hard way, and I probably still also have to watch it. But once somebody's coming to mind, a CEO was running a multi-million euro business, who was very often saying, "I just don't have enough time," and which was true if you looked at it on a surface level. But as we dug in deeper, you realize actually their mood is going up and down like a yo-yo. They're actually just completely wrecked, tired. So we just started working on helping them regulate their state, their mood, their energy. So a lot of that was around understanding how to work from the inside out, looking at even some of the physical elements in terms of exercise, building in short presence breaks, just moments of mental pit stops, and just looking at physical side, exercise, diet, bit of meditation, and their clarity transformed. And more than just some of the practical techniques or habits, really the game changer was the understanding that state beats strategy. State beats time management, state beats your calendar, state beats hacks. And having a relaxed mind, even in a busy, uncertain job or world, is central to it. So their schedule didn't change that much, but their energy did. And they later told me that it was kind of like time slowed down, but they got more done, which is kind of my experience when you kind of move into that kind of zone. Another client, just to share something that I think is probably highly universal, that they realized when she entered meetings, she would often come in tense and rushed. And she started to realize that her team was mirroring her state, her energy. And that is the power and the danger of a leader, is that if their state is off, it is contagious. It does tend to ripple. And also if you're a parent, it can ripple into your family. But she learned to center herself, reset herself. And what she found was that by changing her energy and state, the same meeting would take half the time and twice the creativity would emerge. So if you think about your state like almost like the operating system on your phone, like if the operating system is off, if it's got bugs or virus, it compromises your ability to use any app in the phone, or you could say your laptop or computer. So, the underlying operating system, which is the human energy operating system, actually is the key element there that allows everything else to flourish. Or think about a radio signal. If you're full of static, you can't actually hear the music playing on the radio channel. If you can clear the static, everything starts to become more enjoyable, everything starts to become more clear, everything starts to move more into a flow. I think we're the same as humans. So let me ask you a couple of questions. One is, do you think, are you struggling with time? Or maybe are you struggling with state? The state you're in while you're managing your time. Are you so tired that you've told yourself, no, it's all about my time, which fair enough. But actually what I'm saying is, it's counterintuitive. Consider the impact of your state. And what would change if you started your day by managing your state instead of your schedule? What if instead of jumping into your phone or your email, you actually thought about, what are one or two things that might help my state to ground my state into the right level now in the first 15, 20 minutes of the day? It could be meditation, it could be exercise, it could be inspirational reading. What's going to work for you? It might even be as simple as a walk. And then how often do you check your calendar versus checking in with yourself and how you are in your energy? So for me, I will check myself more than I will check my calendar, but I have to watch that. And then think about what's one thing you could build into creating or moving into a better state before you take action. It might be as simple as taking some deep breaths for 30 seconds to 60 seconds, maybe stepping outside to clear your mind. What can you do? What's your one action, one move that would help you to shift state before you do your next action, even after this podcast? Just a little plug for myself. Please do check out the long form audios in my special Inner Advantage audio club. If you like these particular podcasts, I go deeper into hugely relevant topics. If you're a leader interested in high performance and better living with less stress, I've also added in workbooks, reflection sheets, cheat sheets, high value stuff. There'll be a link in the show notes if you're interested to check it out. So, takeaway for today, in terms of this episode, is maybe just consider this. Time follows your state. It's not the other way around. And if you can learn how to get even slightly better at managing your state of mind, your state of being, your energy, your clarity, your calm, your presence, time weirdly takes care of itself. That's it for this week. Ciao for now.